Hey everybody, welcome to the Balcony Time podcast. I'm Andy, and I would buy your bathwater.
This is Russ, and Geralt of Rivia is my spirit animal.
This is Andrew, and each of my fingers is a jazz hand.
This is Nick. If you hate someone, put shrimp in their curtain rods.
We
So
need
you
to
got-
go to Area 51 right now.
Is everyone caught up on the Area 51 thing?
Vaguely. I know people are going to storm it. We need to go with them.
I heard that the military, of course, released a press announcement that they will be ready for these people to show up.
For real?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They take every threat seriously. I mean,
Then they got shit to hide there.
yeah,
Yes, that's what it's for. That's what they do there. They hide.
Yeah.
How many people are going? Look it up. Let's see how many people are attending.
At last count, it was about 1 million.
they have to go.
1 million people are about to go.
1 million people have said they are going.
Yeah. They got to rescue Zuckerberg's dad.
Yeah.
They what?
I think I saw that on Reddit. You saw Mark Zuckerberg at his trial where he's drinking the water and
Yeah.
he looks like a fucking lizard man.
Yeah.
Someone's like, he's going to go so he can rescue his dad.
All right, to be fair, any interview with Mark Zuckerberg
Yeah, he's just-
looks like he's a fucking lizard man.
What's up, guys? We're out here smoking meats. Just
The Air
smoking
Force
some
warns
meats.
that they
Smoking the
can
meats.
stop all of you.
Oh, there's an attack plan?
Oh my God, no, so
There's
the
the
best-
attack plan, yeah. Oh, no,
That was
that's
a
a
video.
video. That's
Dude.
a video. Fuck off.
Turn the...
But okay, yeah.
This isn't even that far away from us. We got to go.
It's not labeled.
No, you got to go to the dick-looking one
God damn
from
it.
South Park that has
Yeah,
the
yeah,
labels
yeah.
on it.
We got to at least go watch.
Because you got to have that front line of Kyle's fueled off of Monster Energy.
Yeah.
That's your shield wall.
I don't know if it was
Which one is it? Is it
related.
this
Someone
one?
was saying it was, but there was a...
Token black guy. Aerial attack force.
Okay.
That's not
Wrestler.
even a good one.
I know.
The other one has
Find the-
Karens.
Find the dick one.
You find the dick one.
I don't have the
So
laptop.
wait, we
It
got
was-
we got
it
2
was
months
what-
before this
James
You're
happens.
seeing what I'm seeing.
It was at the top.
We got 2 months before this happens.
Why is your search results different than mine?
I don't know.
Because that's how Google works.
Yeah.
You get personalized
So
results.
yeah, I mean, this thing has been memed to death because it was
Oh, yeah.
started as a joke, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it was a joke?
Yeah, it was
Yes.
100% started as a joke.
That's stupid. Why would somebody start this as a joke?
Why would people collectively want to storm a military base?
Yeah.
Have you never wanted to go to Area 51?
Of course, everybody wants to have gone. to
So
Area
now
51.
all those people who were like 14, 15, who were like, man, I'm going to sneak into Area 51, now have a device where they can go, hey, let's all go to Area 51 at the same time.
Yeah, they did that.
Should show them
Yeah.
that jackass video.
They
of
should
the,
do that seriously.
Claymore personnel deterrent,
Right?
That the military has.
or just the fucking like sonic beams that they can shoot at you that make your skin feel like it's on fire.
But if
Or
a
the
million
guns they
people are
have,
going,
right,
dude,
bullets.
like a million people, and then if they put that on the news, that shit's
A
crazy.
million people are not going to
A million people breaking the law and being punished for it. That's they're not going to get in trouble for it.
I
The
could
government's breaking the law.
No, they're not.
With
they're
Area
not.
51, yes, they are.
How?
see how.
They got fucking shit in there that they need to show us.
They're
Okay.
breaking
You got the
51
shit.
laws.
It's in there. We know it. Send in the Kyles.
Hold on.
They've got Elvis.
If there are aliens that exist and we don't know about that,
Oh my God,
and they know
don't get
about
me
that,
started.
then that is a fucking crime.
I have been researching UFO books at work
Mm-hmm.
this last couple weeks.
I want to believe. I want to believe so bad.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing is, even if there's nothing in there, it'd be cool to know that there's nothing in there.
You know what I love?
Yes.
How many
I
not
applaud these million
UFO
people.
reports we have nowadays because we have decent cameras and video. Like, it's kind of interesting how all these UFO reports died
Right.
off once camera and video got
Now
decent.
that your phone can record in 4K
Yeah,
and has
exactly.
optical zoom, suddenly we're not seeing UFOs everywhere. Like, yeah.
I don't know. Have you looked?
Right? That's a good question.
The sheer amount of UFO they had,
Like maybe it's just not vogue
multiple
anymore.
thousands a year to the Air Force back in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
And then it, like, after the social craze died off, it just started dipping and dipping and dipping.
Yeah.
And
But how? I mean, where's the statistic on that?
Yeah, that's
Like,
what I'd
how-
like
how
to
is it-
see.
Maybe it's just not in our face as much as it is because we consumed such a slim stream of information back in the day when people were recording these on fucking handy cams to now to where like you
We
can
live
I
in
just
a
think
world-
about like this in a pragmatic sense. If we had high-res images of UFOs, it'd be on YouTube.
It'd
on
be
the
on your
front page.
Facebook.
Oh yeah, but I'm saying there's still a ton of people out there shooting really poor video of what they say is UFOs.
Well, sure, yeah.
And I'm just implying that when you have poor video, all those things that you think might be aliens are probably bad artifacting or bugs or
Sure.
light flares and whatnot.
Well, there has to be a reason they started recording in the first place. So I mean, they're seeing something, but I mean, there's plenty of weird anomalies that happen.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
There has to
I don't
be a reason that they don't want us to go to Area 51.
Yeah, because
And
it's
I wanna
top
know what the
secret.
A
fuck that
military facility.
Yeah, it has to do with intelligence. I mean,
No
sure.
civilians can just go and poke around all parts of any military facility.
Is it possible that aliens landed here in Roswell, New Mexico, and they have alien craft? Sure.
If
It's-
that's possible, then I want to know.
don't we all? Right.
Yeah.
But
That's the
storming
point.
Area 51 won't get you anywhere.
You know, I applaud,
They are not letting you in.
I applaud the million people who are taking this joke seriously.
I think
I-
the insane thing to think that like after Area 51 becomes known as
Right.
the potential location of any sort of extraterrestrial artifacts and or life, they'll move it to another secret
they
facility.
had to have moved
It's
it by now.
the reverse double whammy, dude.
Subtuple bluffing.
Exactly.
subtuple
Yeah.
No,
location
you
of
you make
aliens.
you go. All right, the obvious move would be to move everything, so we'll just keep it right here on everybody's noses.
Right, yeah.
Yes. Insidious.
This
I
is-
was thinking
Fucking
about
the
this.
CIA we're talking about.
I was thinking about this, reading all these UFO reports. So many of them report that these UFOs, especially when it's the pilots, talk about how the craft or the object would suddenly change course as if it had no inertia.
yeah.
Mhm.
Right. And I was trying to think, is there any rational way to explain that? And they were talking about possible
Aliens.
4-dimensional ships, right? And we've talked about dimensions before, but if you have a 4-dimensional object in 3D space, it's going to appear to morph and change in size and maybe get so small as to disappear or show up out of nowhere, but it's not going to randomly change direction. It just wouldn't work like that. You can think about 3D
Well, you
object in 2D
you could
space.
see like you could perceive in the 3D space a maybe a displacement in space as a sudden change, right?
I was thinking, yeah, an example. So if you have a person like me in 2D space, let's say I'm standing in a pool of water and the surface of the water is a 2D universe, right? And there's a bunch of people running around on the surface of this water. If I were to take like
a bunch of
a
Jesus.
right angle tool, like a contractor's right angle for measuring angles, it's just a big L, and I tilt it a little bit and I dip it down in the water, it would like appear to out of nowhere and head in one direction. The moment it gets to the bend, it would change and go the other way, right? I was trying to think about that, but for the most part, it's just they all have these same explanations or what they see. You know, they're randomly changing colors, and it's like
Well, in that analogy, you know,
maybe
if there is something that's operating at another shit, man. Even when I try not to hit the table, I hit the bottom of the table.
we need
Fuck.
a jar or like a clicker, a tally.
Oh my
right?
god, we should start a jar.
A jar.
Ooh,
That'd be
the
fun.
jar.
How many
Yes.
times
I'd be
fucking
so rich.
The jar
Andy
jar,
hits the table?
right? Because
The jar jar.
The Jar Jar.
We'll call it
Dude,
Binks.
dude, we got the jar jar.
One for the Binks.
You know what we got to do now?
The Binks
Call
Bank.
it the Sith jar.
No, the Binks Bank.
The Binks Bank.
Binks
I
Bank.
like that.
Yeah.
Everyone start bringing ones to the podcast.
All right. Yeah. Bring your
Ones.
singles to the
Okay.
podcast.
Yeah.
I'm the only one who hits the table, though.
Yeah.
Well,
Bring
Am
more.
I the only
Yeah.
one who needs to bring,
Bring
ones?
more of them.
uh,
So I would just argue that if you have an alien race that exists in the fourth dimension, they just have access to technology that we can't conceive
man, yeah,
of.
why
I
would they
mean,
show up for like a 20-year span and just like cruise around? To,
Why the
and
fuck do people write graffiti?
But
for
why would they
fun?
only do it for such a short amount of time?
For fun. What if it's fun?
Then keep doing it.
I mean, we're talking interstellar travel, right?
Well, yeah, of course.
They come here over, however many light years.
If they're in the fourth dimension, they're already in
Maybe
a
they occupy a-
theoretical
may-
dimension,
Yeah.
according to our knowledge. So they could theoretically
do anything.
space,
Theoretically.
time, whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
It passes into that field like the singularity stuff to where it's beyond human.
Yeah, we have
ability
no idea
to-
how that would work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
even imagine what that existence would be like. Maybe if we're just throwing around bizarre conspiracy theories
Yeah,
on
we are.
white aliens. What if the older cameras, because they like recorded at shittier frame rates, are just more likely to capture them? And now that we have faster high,
yeah, it's like
So now that we have higher frame rate, like
can
now that we
only
record at
digital
60 frames or
camera
30
sensors,
frames,
they
yeah. So
they don't
the
get picked up
Oh,
as much
man.
on it.
so
Silly.
the golden frame rate was like 23.97 frames
Right?
per second. Yeah. Okay.
That's something
Yeah.
like 300 by 600 resolution. you
Yeah.
know, like-
That's why they
Oh,
never
God.
got seen in Europe because the PAL standard it's fucked
Yep,
everything
yeah,
up. Yeah.
that's- Makes sense.
Sure, sure.
Insane in Europe.
Yeah.
So we're all just Germans
I
flying
have,
around in their dirigibles.
I have not thought into like the science of this at all. But you talk about like interstellar travel. But if we're talking about like multiple dimensions or whatever, isn't it possible that like there are dimensions that are running like parallel to one another?
Well, we could say
Where,
anything
like-
is possible within other dimensions.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So like, what if it's not a matter of traveling vast distances, but simply breaking through walls? Right.
Sure.
Yeah, if their dimensions are on top of each other in parallel, you
Sure.
could be in one or the other.
Right.
Yeah.
And so maybe that doesn't necessarily require a technology that requires.
Man, I want to talk so much about the
travel.
Expanse book series. Like,
I need. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have them. Need them. Did you start reading them yet?
Not yet. No.
Okay.
Tomorrow, my plan is to knock out Dune because I got the day off. I got
Yeah.
laundry to do.
to
So
read.
Dune, and then the day after that is my Sunday, so that I'm going to pick up a new book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
yeah, see, I know season 3 is coming out. Erica's like linking me to like, oh, they announced
the
season
thing.
3, and like part of me's like, but I've read like 8 books into the
Yeah.
series now.
Yeah.
Like,
This is very Game of Thronesy, right?
How closely do they follow between the books and the series?
oh, it's like
one-to-one?
extremely accurate.
Okay.
Yes.
So they're not starting to diverge like Game of Thrones did around season 3.
Okay, so to be fair, I've not seen all of season 2.
Okay.
But I have seen season 1. I think like a part of season 2.
Yeah.
And as far as I can tell, it seems like they are trying to stick and cover most of what the book covers
Cool.
very well.
I loved that first season so much. It was great.
All of it's good. The book series I think is fantastic as far as
Yeah.
sci-fi goes. Personally, it is very slow at times because
Yeah.
it doesn't have the action that I typically like in a lot of my fiction.
This is randomly parallel, but I love this guy. A little bit of a shout out. If anybody's listening to Fourth Dimension sci-fi stuff, check out Isaac Arthur on YouTube. This guy covers so much cool sci-fi stuff. How to colonize Pluto, what a moon base on Titan's going to look like. He is a great person to go to if you want to hear about potential sci-fi technologies in the future.
If you want to colonize anywhere, just sing the English.
Just they haven't planted a flag in it yet.
I still maintain if you want to read a fantastically fun sci-fi book that has a lot
Fuzzy
of good
Dice?
science, not Fuzzy Dice,
Okay.
which was good.
Yeah.
That one, but that one's not based on
No,
I
this
think,
is
any
just
sort
fun.
of accuracy. No, We Are Bob.
Mm.
I've heard of
We Are
that,
Bob.
yeah.
but I don't know very much of the specifics of it.
So the quick gist of We Are Bob is that a guy gets brought back to life, but as a AI, as a computer program. His body has been destroyed, so that's how they save people for the future, is that they put them into a computer. And he wakes up, and they put him into a von Neumann probe, which is a probe that is designed to launch itself out and then build another one of itself, I
Yeah.
believe is how that it's been a while since I read the book, and perpetuate the journey. And he is on that to facilitate the building of new versions, which means that he needs to make a copy of himself to pilot the second probe that goes out. And as you can imagine, it's probably like, so imagine that you have no concept that you are just a computer program,
Like a
because
machine.
it feels just like you are now. So you don't have a body, you're just kind of disembodied. And now you have to make a copy, a clone of yourself.
Still have means of perception and a consciousness.
Yep. Ways of seeing things. You can interact with stuff, but you're doing it by controlling like little robots.
Sure. Yeah.
But consciously, you are you.
My fingers are like little robots.
And then you have to make a clone of yourself. So then you do that, and then you start running all these existential questions of like, is this me? Like, and then that thing is alive, so it's treating itself like it thinks it's
Is it
you.
a part of me?
And it just continues. It We Are Bob is pretty much, I think it's 3 books, and it goes on to where he's made a number of copies of himself. And there's some variants involved, which is kind of cool, to where they start trying to make their own identity, so they kind of represent weaker or stronger personality traits in them as they go on. And
Sounds like a cool story.
yeah, I mean, they're essentially
the
immortal,
writing is good?
So yeah, no,
Okay, good.
it was
Yeah.
really fun read.
In Endless Space, it's a 4X computer game, kind of like Sid Meier Alpha Centauri. There's a faction you can play as called Horatio. Horatio was a scientist who had an extreme narcissist complex, thought he was the best and most prettiest and amazing person ever. So he started cloning himself. And you literally you'd play as Horatio, just millions and millions of clones of this guy, and they all think they're the best, and they like freak out over the most minor skin complications or tweaks in thought. It's a pretty neat idea. So, Area 51.
Storm that shit.
Why don't you go?
We'll be there. Dude, I'm fucking thinking about it.
All you have to do is show up to Area 51 on September 20th. I imagine at least it's going to be a good party until everybody gets shot.
That's when the
Dude,
party
what
starts.
more can you ask for out of life?
Yeah, a good party, maybe with aliens. Right?
Definitely.
I mean, when you get to
There
the
will
memes that have come out of
definitely-
this are
there
so
will definitely be aliens.
so good.
I'm sure.
You guys saw Independence Day?
Yeah.
I saw them. float.
Fucking, you saw what was in there?
I don't want to hang out with that thing.
Historical documentary that shit was.
Arm off the table.
I didn't make any sound.
You're about to.
you're about
Where's
to.
my Binks Bank?
Yep. Where's the Binks Bank?
Oh,
You don't get to
Lord.
put anything in there, or I don't have to put anything in there until I make a
we
sound.
also need to talk about the Witcher trailer. Now that we've all
Okay.
seen it.
So I'm gonna take on the lead here. So the first thing I want to say about the Witcher trailer, one, I'm a huge huge Witcher fan. I think it's Andrew or Alex, Polish name guy is the author. I apologize. I love the books. I love the games.
Why'd they make Yennefer look derpy?
Okay, so I'll get into the fiction of Yennefer,
Okay.
but I want to preface, like, when I look at the Witcher trailer, I know that I shouldn't hold it to the standards that I want it to be at as far as the Witcher games and book series go, because everyone's going to fuck that shit up all the time. So really what I look for is, like, I just want it to be a good fantasy show. Because if you think about it, we've got, in the history of television shows, we have 2 seasons of Game of Thrones is really, I think, all you can put in the pro column of fantasy TV series. Otherwise, you drop down notches into the, like, Xena.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time
Hercules.
thinking of something in the middle. I think you're pretty on.
There's
that.
not a lot on the small screen that is like high fantasy.
Yeah, it's rare
And
that they
taken
even do it.
seriously.
They had oh my god, the really garbage Sword of Truth series,
Oh well.
Yeah.
which that's just based on
Their
garbage
base material
Yeah.
was
Yeah, dude. But
dumpster fire.
you had the D&D movies.
Oh man.
So I
True
don't want to say.
epics.
Well, I don't. If we're going to include movies, I think that there are good
Oh,
fantasy
yeah.
movies out there. I mean,
Well,
you
yeah,
have
a whole different
Lord of the
thing.
Rings is the
Yeah.
easiest one to go
Yeah,
to.
that's fair.
Some that transfer into like kind of fantasy. I'd say I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast last time, but Never Ending Story and Labyrinth stuff. Those are all to me are fantasy.
List goes on.
Yeah.
So, anyways, you want it to be a good fantasy.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
I'm willing to lower my bar of expectations. Now, having said that, there's certain things that immediately just from the trailer kind of irritate me, and I'm trying not to let it irritate me. But in that first shot, they show Geralt walking, and he has the wolf medallion that he's wearing around his neck, which represents the school, the Witcher school that he went to, which is a wolf school. Why did they change it?
I didn't notice it did.
So,
but they did.
so you know the Witcher symbol,
yeah,
like the
it's-
minimalist
yeah,
kind of
I
looking wolf head and stuff.
Mhm.
Andy can bring it up.
No, Tango can bring it up.
Tango, bring up that Witcher medallion.
Sure.
Tango, bring up that Witcher medallion.
I don't think anyone's going to know what you're referencing.
I don't give a fuck. We got to
So-
keep it going.
Yeah, so that's his wolf medallion, right? And I'm not entirely positive it's stayed consistent through all the games.
But it's cool looking.
But it's cool and it's iconic. It is the logo that I associate with the Witcher
Can you
games.
Google the trailer one, Andy?
It's literally just like a circular medallion with a
Oh yeah.
Kinda like
You know why they did that?
why?
Because it looks like a Game of Thrones sigil.
Oh.
Guaranteed, dude.
I see.
Guaranteed.
I mean,
Guaranteed.
we could theorize multiple reasons.
Yeah.
as to
I
why they did
It
guarantee
actually looks. I think
you
it
it
looks like
is.
it belongs in L5R.
It does kind of
Yeah,
look like
like-
that, but it's reminiscent of like a Game of Thrones style.
See
Yeah.
It is.
But yeah, why
especially
change
with
it?
the
they're-
extras,
they're
right?
Why
it's-
change it, right?
exactly.
That's not even the one that they show in the trailer.
Okay.
Because it's on a solid metal coin.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that immediately threw me off. It's just like that seemed unnecessary. You couldn't get your prop guys to 3D print an actual Witcher medallion.
Yeah, that is
So
weird.
right there, we're seeing cut corners, unnecessarily
Yes.
cut corners.
The other thing from the trailer that upsets me, what I assume, and it's hard to tell.
That first picture right there, they're pointing it out.
Yeah. So yeah, there it is.
Looks like something out of Power Rangers, right?
It looks like that
Yeah,
image
it
is
totally
attached
does.
to an article where they explain it. So
I'm not sure they're probably not going to talk. I don't know. They might. Who knows?
I don't.
Anyhow, the other thing, if it is from the trailer, and it's hard to garner, but from what they talk about, it seems like the bad knights that are attacking is the Wild Hunt.
Oh,
which,
okay.
if it is, really confuses me as how like the timeline stuff is supposed to break down. Because Wild Hunt is obviously Witcher 3.
Yeah.
Ciri looks quite young, and,
Yeah.
and those two things don't match up with the timeline.
Yeah.
I'm not making any sound.
Put $1 in the jar jar.
We're up to
Doesn't
3
make sound.
Bing Spank bucks.
You're shaking everybody's microphone.
I need fucking places to put my elbows.
Use the table here. Move it.
Get you a fidget spinner.
Yeah.
So
So
Wild Hunt's
if it
attacking.
even if it is the Wild Hunt, which makes me confused about the storyline, they don't visually strike fear into me at all. That's why I'm hoping it's not the Wild Hunt, because
I could have gotten it wrong, but I could have sworn they said it was Nilfgaard attacking.
oh, you know what? That actually makes a lot of sense.
I heard
if
her
it's just the
yell
Nilfgaardians, then it's probably
Because they
excusable.
didn't. They looked totally human, normal. They did not.
They
look
have like
the Wild
Skyrim
Hunt.
armor,
Yeah.
with wings on their helmets and stuff. That would actually. I'm glad you brought that up because I forgot about the
Now-
Nilfgaardians.
My Witcher experience is 3 hours of trying to get the first game to work, playing through the opening of the second game twice, and playing the third game for about 10 hours. So vague.
Everyone
knowledge.
here besides me is
Yeah.
really vague on the Witcher stuff, but just take it on good faith that
Yeah.
like I'm invested. I didn't ever play the first one. I didn't have a PC. It's also kind of a garbage game as far as it getting to run. I've played 2. I've played 3. I've read the books. That's as far as I can go.
Now, in the second one, that was mostly dealing with the elves, which are the squirrels. or
So
what?
the second one
They were
was
getting
mostly
killed.
dealing with the Nilfgaardian invasion, and
I think that's what this show is doing.
which would make sense. It ties in together. It's Ciri's a young princess for the Nilfgaardians, so that would make sense. If that's a good starting place.
Yeah.
Now, to give Andrew some backstory on the slack-jawed Yennefer, she's actually like initially she's ugly.
Okay.
But through her mastery of witchcraft and sorcery, she turns herself into a beautiful woman.
Okay.
It's something a lot of witches do. I think it's like kind of common
It's
for
fucking what I'd do if
witches.
I had magic.
People have magic affinity to be ugly, but it's kind of like, well, you just learn your craft well enough and stop.
Is she
Charm
considered
everybody,
a witch? Is that the word they use?
She's a sorceress.
Okay, because in standard mythological fantasy trope, witches tend to be super pretty when they're using magic. to
Yeah,
mask
I'm
themselves.
fairly certain it's permanent. Like
Oh,
once
okay.
you've changed your physical appearance, you've literally changed your physical appearance.
So it's not Melisandre. You don't need a
Take off
amulet.
her-
Yeah, I don't. It
Joker.
doesn't. I believe so. I could
Mhm,
be
yeah.
misrepresenting my Witcher lore,
Mhm.
but I thought that's kind of cool because it looks like in the trailer they are covering that subject, that she starts
Yeah.
off being an ugly person, because it plays a lot, I think, into her character development stuff. Because I mean,
She
anybody
has,
that
like,
goes,
insecurities.
yeah,
after
you go.
she's
It's an
fucking
ugly
hot.
duckling situation.
Mhm.
She suddenly becomes super hot and kind of sleeps around, and she's essentially like
Awakened now.
she's a female version of
Yeah.
Geralt, like powerful, likes to get it on.
Fucking.
Why not?
What's
Did
that
you
word?
guys
Philanderer?
ever see Lex, the sci-fi TV show?
About Lex
No.
Luthor?
The one that Brian loves?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Is it just called Lex?
LEXX. So just in a nutshell, in the opening scene, a girl who may or may not have been a princess accidentally gets put in a machine to turn herself beautiful. But at the same time, some like Venusian sand attack worm got put in the same time. So she goes from being this fat chick who's quote unquote like super ugly and terrible to being super hot, but is also part death worm. The other main character is like an undead guy who's got a beetle he can throw, and they travel around
Beetleborgs.
in a really big flying spaceship that's also like a mosquito.
What blows my
forgot the
mind
ship was like
every
a
time I
mosquito.
hear shit like this is there was a meeting where these words were spoken to another person, and that other person was like, yeah, I'll throw money behind that.
You
Yep.
got to remember, before he says that line, he slams his nose into a line of Coke. He's like, fuck yeah, let's make some money.
That's why those Screen Rant YouTubes. Shout out to the Screen Rant or Pitch Meeting guy,
Oh, yeah, the pitch meeting guy.
because those
With
are
the
those
Game
are
of
really good. This is
Thrones.
kind of, the Game of Thrones one was.
What is his handle, Andy? Can you pull that up? We're going to
Tango,
start shouting
pull
at
that up.
everybody. Got to get our shout-outs out there.
That's been a fun one to show people. So
What was the what's the pitch
the
meeting?
Pitch Meeting? Yeah.
Yeah. But no, Lex, it was right in there in the vein of like I mean, I don't want to shit
Screen
on
Rant.
like
I was
Babylon
right,
5,
Yeah.
It's by Screen
Yeah, it's
Rant.
my screen rant.
but I think it was also British. So I'm thinking like, what was the really
These are the guys
Red
that did
Dwarf?
the-
It was
Red
very
Dwarf.
Red Dwarfy. kind
It
of.
was
Red.
in the fact that it's like got a $3 budget.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Red
Okay.
Dwarf was actually funny.
This was the guy who did the Game of Thrones
Yes.
funny
Yeah.
pitch. Yeah,
Mhm.
I've seen
Yeah.
that one.
So,
But yeah,
Yeah.
literally, there are meetings like this taking place,
Yeah.
and these fucking decisions are coming to a head around a table where like these conversations are literally happening, and you're just like, how the fuck did you think that was a good idea?
Because they're businessmen. They don't.
Yeah.
They don't care about.
It's
the
not about a
property.
good idea or not.
it
Right.
also
It's-
could be a
it's
yes
the most
man
profitable.
situation. you
I
know.
think
They
that's
bring
what
up
it
a
more
graph.
often it is
Yeah.
a yes man situation.
They don't want to, say the wrong thing.
And at the end of the day, if you put enough momentum behind a machine, it's going to succeed.
Yeah.
Straight up.
yeah,
These days, they pull up a graph, they punch in some
Yep.
The algorithm.
keywords for what this movie represents, and they run it through analytics to guess how or to estimate how much money they can make off this movie, and
Yeah.
what budget do they need to allot to it, and
There are services now that use AI to collate videos that would be appropriate for a subject. So you create
Citation
subtitles. What?
needed. What do you mean by AI?
It doesn't matter.
Artificial
so
intelligence.
you know how we were talking about CPM and ERM softwares last night?
Yeah.
The one I was looking at, which was ERM, is Enterprise Resource Management Software, which does everything for you guys that weren't here for our last conversation. It does everything from like payroll to tracking a product's construction to helping inventory. It's like everything a business would need in an all-in-one software.
Okay.
They mentioned specifically that they, in like maybe not the ERM software, but I know the CPM software, which is the consumer relations managing sales stuff, uses an AI algorithm to collate data and best, try to be as efficient
Right,
as possible
yeah.
and giving you better sales, better productivity, and stuff like that. And no one really talks about that. Integrating these AIs into just general.
No, but I mean,
management.
yeah, that is a prime usage for them
I agree. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense.
as they exist now.
I would also be curious to know how legit their usage of AI.
I
as
think
a
that's
term might be just
I
a
agree.
buzzword for them.
It's a buzzword right now.
It is a buzzword.
Well, I mean, in general, AIs, because we don't have true AI as a buzzword, but I mean specifically when they're advertising their software, you might be able to get away with just slapping AI on there because you have
It's like putting an all natural sticker on your Cheetos,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But this is something so it's meant to make eye-catching Facebook videos, right? So if you want to throw your brand
Okay.
into something,
Which one was this that you're talking about?
I can't remember the name of it. I'll find it here in a little bit.
Okay.
But it is essentially meant to you. So you guys have, I'm sure you've all seen it. You're scrolling through Facebook and you see a video. They tend to be really eye-catching. They'll always be visually impactful, right? And they'll just have scrolling text, right? So they have those text bars that open up and they show you, they explain what this video is about. And then seemingly semi-random clips go by. Like it looks like stock footage that is relevant to the keywords that are being used in these subtitles. There are algorithms that are looking at like what colors in the initial spot get the most traffic, what based on the subject matter, and like it looks at context because it's not just keywords. It looks at context and finds appropriate stock footage to use based on usage.
Having not used Facebook in a while, I have a vague idea of what you're talking about, but it sounds reasonable.
I mean, honestly, if I went to my Facebook, I could probably find one within a minute or so. They're prolific,
Okay.
and they're paid advertising.
Yeah.
It's
Borderlands 3.
yeah.
Hey, John, how much should we be using Facebook on a scale from this to that?
-3.
How much should we be using Facebook?
-3.
We're asking our visiting security expert.
Can you give me a really good analogy? No. The answer is, how much should we? No.
Yeah, that's I'll take that. Yeah. Go back in time and stop before you start.
Yes. Exactly.
Back in time and don't.
Oh my, Facebook.
It's
memes.
incredible how much of this is generated by Facebook, and I don't like these pages.
Yeah, it's all like ads.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, even your friends' content is displayed on
Exactly.
your page based on some sort of algorithm.
Yeah.
Now I heard that they were.
That's
gonna
why I
stop
hated
doing
it.
That,
Is
but
because it wasn't just like a
the
direct.
most recent stuff.
Yeah, just give me the fucking
so
latest thing.
you see what I'm talking about? That wasn't a heart attack gun. That was a fucking gun.
Okay. Oh, so the
Completely
you're saying the text
untraceable.
in the video.
You know what?
That you write the text for the
Gotcha.
video.
You know where they made that gun?
And then it generates stock
Area 51
footage.
Right.
with alien
Okay.
technology.
See, yeah, that's not.
So it's looking for a stock
yeah,
photo of
that's
Ice
not-
Bullet and finds the
that's
most
not an
relevant.
Ice
Right?
Bullet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, that's a Jonathan Hole video.
See,
I know, I
right
was
there.
gonna
That's
say.
right there. That's a bullet hole in somebody.
Dude.
Of
Yeah.
course.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So these are automatically generated.
Yes, the Ice
That's
Bullet,
fascinating.
full
Isn't
of toxic shellfish venom.
Developed at Area 51. I mean, that's the
You
shit
know,
we
it
got to
looks
go
for
find.
keywords heart attack, and it finds
Oh, and
like
it's
random
actually
stock
got-
footage of a heart.
Okay, yeah. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
It's
It's terrible, but it's really cool.
yeah.
That's
I'm-
a neat idea.
It is a neat idea, and especially since you can do it for like $15. Like this ad probably costs like $30.
Yeah, and it works because this guy, let's not say his last name.
Yeah.
He shared it to everyone.
Of course, right?
Right?
Yeah,
My-
absolutely. So at the end of this video, there will be. I'm not gonna get there unless we watch it all the way through because it
No, just skip.
activates fucking audio.
We can skip to the end.
that turns the audio on.
Oh.
As soon as you
do
touch
that.
that video,
As soon as you touch that video, dude.
It's like, yeah.
We're not gonna futz with it.
hey,
But
hey,
you'll
listen.
you'll get the the blurb.
I got
you
your
know,
attention now.
Click like and check here for more and that kind of
Okay.
shit. So it's literally just to generate click through rate and these.
Why would you
these-
put poison in a bullet?
to give people heart attacks. Duh.
Yeah, of course.
My point is, like, if you're shooting somebody,
Just
just
put
shoot
another
them
bullet.
till they're dead.
Yeah. Well,
It's supposed to be untraceable. It's an ice bullet full of shellfish
We
toxin
electrically charge this artillery shell.
that doesn't leave a bullet hole and just
Such a
injects
stupid idea
shellfish
for a-
venom so that they die mysteriously of a heart attack.
Anybody who has access to an ice bullet with fish venom or toxins on it isn't getting traced back to anyway. So use a regular fucking gun.
Says the guy that was talking about the CIA having aliens in Area 51.
That's my point.
Well,
The
I mean,
dude with that
that's a
fucking
given,
gun can use a regular gun, and the bullets aren't coming back to him.
Wow. Oh, well, that's a whole other subject.
But you know he's
For
been
real, though.
shot. Like that's the point is like to not
the whole
know
point
someone's
is
been
like
shot.
There was a fucking bullet wound in him.
you weren't listening to our whole conversation
Yeah,
about how
you
that
weren't here
footage
for that,
was
dude.
not the exact replication.
This
of the
footage
text.
has nothing to do
I know.
except for contextual clues given to by the person that made this.
Is there such a thing as a gun that shoots ice bullets?
Ask John.
I think
John,
MythBusters
John Hall.
did a video that showed it's pretty much impossible. 'Cause
Yeah,
it
how
just-
would you?
The ice explodes when
Yeah.
it comes out of the barrel.
So we're not even talking about a real thing.
Do you not know the
Yeah.
gentleman that posted this on Facebook?
John,
Don't say his last name.
this
Okay, I
guy
already
here
did,
that I'm
but
reading,
yes.
Yeah.
I have no idea who that is.
Okay.
No, that's true. I don't think he's met him.
I don't know if you. ever
Okay,
met
I
him.
don't
well,
think he's
if
met
you'd met him, you would understand.
He's going to
that
Area 51.
He's a Kyle.
Don't fucking lump me in with
He's
that.
from-
He's
Kyle
going to Area
spelled with a
51.
Q.
He's
right?
Kyle spelled with a Q, and he's instead of drinking.
Oh,
Monster
he's
Energy
frontline
drink,
fodder.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh well, then cool. We need those guys.
he's leading the charge.
Oh,
He's
100%.
frontline fodder.
we need that. We need those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's gonna marry an alien.
All right. And if he thinks ice bullets exist, then more power to the front line.
So
Um,
anyways, that's pretty interesting stuff. With the,
There's another
I've never
thing
seen
we
that
were gonna
before
talk
in the
about.
Facebook ad.
51.
I think some of that footage had to have been related because
Probably.
That
Yeah.
intermittent middle footage was
Yeah, the
obviously
committee
an
meeting
old
stuff.
CIA
Yeah.
meeting thing.
Right.
or it might not have been. We don't actually know. A guy could have just been holding up a toy gun, and they were talking about banning
Well,
toy guns.
yeah,
Who knows?
that's exactly it. Is the gun the guy was holding versus the image that they showed later was a different gun.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I mean, some of the footage may be exact footage of the of what they're talking about.
It would be interesting to see one that's covering top subject matter that we actually can prove is real.
Right,
Like
yeah,
it has real
right,
stuff about
right.
it.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm
So
excited
conspiracy
for
theory
in a
stuff.
scared way?
There's no
The
such
first
thing as ice
time
bullets.
That
Bullshit.
it hits the major news that video that was huge last week turns out to be a deep
A deep fake, yeah. I'm
that
waiting for
every
it.
50-year-old has seen on like Fox.
Wait,
or
which video?
NBC. I'm just saying,
Nothing yet.
I'm excited in a scared way for that time when on TV there's huge news because that video that everyone saw last
and
week on
took
MSNBC
for granted and thought it was real.
was actually a deep fake.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be beautiful. Everybody's just gonna fucking shit their
That's-
bed and be
yeah.
like, oh, I don't know what to believe. Like people are already
Once
doing
that enters the public,
yeah.
kind of, I mean, they already heard about it with the whole porn deep fakes, but once this
Mhm.
stuff gets
Whoa, porn
real.
deep fakes.
Yeah.
Oh man, she
That's-
was,
Oh,
was
tell
supposed
me
to do a
more.
That's
porn
where
site?
deepfakes came from.
Oh,
the
whoa, whoa!
purpose that
Who's
nerds
deep
made
faked?
deepfakes.
Who's deep faked in my pornos?
Everybody.
Just do
If
some
she's
Google
famous,
searching.
she's in a porno.
Oh man,
Yeah.
It's dirty.
you just made my
You're
weekend
gonna
very
taint,
long.
You're gonna taint your soul, man.
You're a
Really,
bad
really,
man.
but what deepfakes are doing is just the next level in misinformation. I
Totally.
mean,
Oh, yeah,
the
no, it's
fact
crazy.
that already we exist at a point where you can just post a picture of like President Obama with a quote, and that quote
Yeah.
can there's just the
Be
one from
attributed
like
to
last
him,
week.
even
It
though
was
it's
it
not.
was somebody was attributing a quote to AOC, and it was literally something Trump had said.
Oh
Mhm.
god.
Like this was an anti-liberal, anti-left wing, Ocasio quote meme on Facebook, but Trump was the one that had actually said those words, and I'm like, the people that are getting riled up by this stuff are easily fooled.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is just the next level of foolery.
I don't know if we
Bamboozling.
mentioned it last podcast, but we brought it up. Like, my parents told me, don't trust everything you see on the internet when they were raising me. And then they turned it around and they
Mhm.
trust everything they see on the goddamn
Every
internet.
single
That
thing
shit.
they see.
That shit turned on a dime.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
was, don't post anything that's identifying to give everybody everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't trust that shit.
Yeah.
I got
Fucker,
fooled
you
by an Onion article.
Keep your
once,
shit secret.
You know.
Dude, you know what the Onion article that got me was? The evolutionary biologist who believed evolution was real except but for ferns. I was so mad and confused. I was like, how? It took me a good 10 minutes to realize I was reading an Onion
Yeah.
article.
I didn't realize I was reading an Onion article until I started talking about it to Russ during balcony. it was the one where it's like there's an enzyme in semen that when if a woman swallows or something maybe it's in her body, whatever, that effectively makes her love you more,
We
Okay.
should.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
should
Yeah.
perpetuate that myth.
right?
We should.
The one
Yeah.
I just had one happen to me last
don't need
week. I
condom,
got
baby.
halfway through an Onion video before I was like,
Yeah.
and it was an autistic reporter.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And he was it was like the news, like, we're going to our artistic reporter so-and-so, and he was going to a prison to talk to a guy about being in jail and being in prison. He got super excited about being in jail because everything was so structured and
Oh
edgy.
yeah, dude.
And I was actually really excited at first because the way the reporter kicks it over to him, now over to so-and-so, can you and he immediately snaps back at the home base reporter, but I was like, I can't actually see you because you're not here. Like something that's very factual.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, this is going to be great. This guy's, it turns out, no, Onion.
Yeah.
It was all the Onion.
Excellent. More satire.
Good job. I mean,
please.
that's kudos to them.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
I'll be
making this.
right back.
Those guys are fucking clever.
What was the third subject we were going to talk about?
I'm still not done with The Witcher if we want to go back to
Oh,
that.
yeah. We
'Cause I was
never
mostly
kinda
just
finished that.
poking at some of the things that I found flaws in that trailer.
Yeah.
Did we get through the whole thing?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
watched up
we watched the whole
until
trailer.
the end.
Okay, well, so the
When they showed
ending
the
is one of the things that makes me
spider
most.
thing.
Yeah, the spider coming out of the swamp is really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
But they show Geralt with the toxins running through his body.
Yeah.
Which was it was just really cool because he does
Yeah.
look super fucked up in the game when he's ingesting his toxins to fight the monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, kudos, that at least looks cool.
Up in that whole thing, I was like, okay, so far, what Geralt, the monster hunter, I've seen a bloody clawed monster hand. Like, are you going to give me at least one monster in this trailer?
No, don't show me any of the monsters.
Yeah, no
Like, Even
monsters.
the
You don't
spider
show.
was too much to me.
Hey, don't
Well,
show.
for
Don't
people
spoil
that
shit.
haven't seen or played The Witcher or read it, you want them to know that he's a monster hunter.
Bloody claw would have been enough then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Giant spider. I mean,
Yeah.
you could have
Yeah.
saved that. It was
100%.
good, but
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be my opinion on almost any trailer. Is like, stop showing me too much of the movie
Yeah.
or TV
I
show.
hate
Just
watching
knock
trailers.
it off.
I hate they just spoil things.
But I also feel compelled to watch them because I don't want to go waste my time
Yeah.
on a movie. This is going to be a
That's
waste of
what
my time.
reviews are for.
Oh, I don't want to read a review. That's potentially worse, spoiler territory.
Then you've got some bad reviewers, man.
Sure, you need to find a reviewer that knows to warn about spoilers and somebody that you respect their opinion on.
Absolutely. I don't trust anybody's opinion because nobody has the same taste in movies that I do.
You just
I mean-
get close. That's the point.
Yeah.
You watch them and okay, 7 out of 10 times we agree.
Yeah.
That'd be a good reviewer for me.
I like to get the group consensus on something. I mean, I watch shit late. That's just something
It's
I do.
okay, Andy. You can say that you just want my opinion because my opinion's always right.
No, I want all of your opinions because you all have very drastically different opinions. So if I
We
can
do,
get
we
a
do.
relatively like if I can get like this movie is 60% good based on the average of my friends, then it's probably all right. I can probably spend my however
have
much
the
money
rotten
seeing it.
brotato.
We
The rotten
do.
potatoes.
Yeah. We have 2 friends in our group that if they both liked a movie, I will almost assuredly hate it.
For who?
Colin
Who are
and
those?
Andy.
It's Brian and Josh.
Brian and Josh.
Ooh,
is a good
yeah.
one, yeah.
They're
I
like,
have
oh,
good
we
taste
love
in
this movie. I'm
movies.
like,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
that's a movie I'm going to watch.
They
in the
just
middle of
like
the day on a
everything they see
Tuesday.
in the theater.
I think that's it.
Yeah, they I think they like the theater experience so much that it doesn't matter what they're watching.
Yeah.
I would say they're just easy to please.
Maybe.
Very easy to please.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and that's perfectly legit. I actually am a little bit envious that they can watch those and enjoy them, whereas
I wish I liked everything.
I mean,
Yeah, that would be a better world.
It's like I watched the Infinity Snapathon, whatever that 4-hour movie was, and I've watched like 75% of the Marvel movies. I knew what I was getting into when it's like 3-hour movie, end of the Marvel thing. It was good, and the whole time I finished, I was like, well, at least I got to see that scene of Captain America saying "Hail Hydra" in the
elevator.
In the elevator, I was like, that was pretty good, and like that was kind of my opinion of the movie. It's like, okay, yeah, that was cool,
That's pretty good.
but man, the internet blew up about that movie, and I can understand why. It's
the
just,
internet blew up about it being great.
oh yeah, everybody loved that movie.
Okay.
I mean,
I
at
mean,
least
I really
the memes
like
are on
Infinity
point.
War.
So
It was better than I expected because
I'm not
I was running a little
expecting
bit cold.
freaking, Citizen Kane.
I think it's easy to
But-
say it's great in comparison to all of the Avengers movies.
Oh, yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
bubble in which you should judge it
Yeah.
against. Really,
Mhm.
I
It's-
agree.
no,
You judge it against the entire spectrum of cinema.
that's entirely unfair.
No, it's not. Anything that comes out in the cinema, you judge against the entire spectrum of cinema.
So you judge every children's song against every song ever made.
Sure.
I saw your gears turning there for a second. You gonna
No.
stick to that gun?
I'm going to stick to it. yeah.
Okay. You do
Because
you,
I don't
man.
listen to a lot of children music.
So that AC/DC album for children, you really enjoyed that. So
There's an
you're-
AC/DC album for children.
We listened
What's
to it
the
last
baby-
week.
baby
Dude,
metal
my
last
short-term
time?
memory is
Yeah.
fucking shit. No, but hold up. We weren't listening to baby metal. No, okay. No, I remember now. Yeah. No.
We did listen to Baby Metal. That's
Well,
factual.
It was,
But
baby
it
metal
wasn't
that
baby
wasn't
metal.
It wasn't
baby
metal that was made by babies. No,
Exactly.
you're right. That was not metal that was made
But
by
if those
babies.
babies made metal, they should be judged against all metal music.
They should be
ever
judged
made.
against all babies.
or all music
Yeah.
in general.
We've got Queen, Tchaikovsky, and baby metal.
Yeah, you're gonna have some baby that's playing like most of like Enter Sandman on drums, and Andy's gonna be like, "It's not as good as Beethoven."
We got a baby playing drums. That's good. That's really good.
You gotta. What if he's playing terribly? You're judging.
Well,
him
then that's
against all
different.
music.
That's different. If we're talking about a baby who's got enough skill to be recording music and
Look up
putting it
some-
out
What if
there.
that baby's playing Nickelback?
there is.
Yeah, look up some
If
Prodigy.
they're playing it well.
There,
Tango,
yeah,
bring
there,
that
there's
up.
So
a
that
Prodigy. I
baby
wanna
playing
find- I wanna
Nickelback
find the right
is
one. Hold on.
judged against all
I don't
music.
fucking know Nickelback songs. I know there's like this
No,
shit
no.
that's fucking like Nickelback sucks, but I don't know.
You're saying that all movies should be judged against all other movies.
Yes.
So all music should be judged against all other music.
Yes.
This
So
is
a
gonna-
baby playing drums should be put up against Travis Barker.
She's not a baby.
You're misinterpreting me, right?
To be
Like
fair.
a baby playing drums just for the sake of a baby playing drums is not a produced musical
What if the
piece,
baby
right?
produced a movie?
More power to him. It'll be judged against the fucking backdrop of the entire cinematic world.
Okay, I have a question. Let's get past the symptoms to the core of the things. Do you believe that art, music, and songs are subjective?
Yeah, absolutely.
Then you can't really judge something against everything.
Yes, I can.
How?
Because it's subjective.
What if you hate an entire genre of music?
Then I hate an entire genre of music.
So when you rate that music against something else, it
I
just
will rate it
loses.
lower.
Okay, that's fair. I
Yeah.
guess. At least
So you're
sticking
saying
to
just from a personal perspective, you just take every movie you watch and you compare it against every other movie that you've watched.
If we're talking about like quality of the movie, yeah.
That's interesting.
So name 3 movies that you like.
3 movies that The Matrix, number 1. I love it. And then just like other random movies that I like.
Yeah, sure. That you like a lot.
I Heart Huckabees and The Big Lebowski.
Okay, so we'll take The Matrix.
Okay.
and you got to judge this against all other movies ever made.
It's a beautiful movie.
And you think that that movie deserves a place on a tier list of quality movies above accepted classics such as Schindler's List and
Sure.
Godfather.
Specifically because we're talking about the idea that this is like a subjective arena,
sure.
right?
Once you throw
Yeah.
that subjective tag on it, then
That fucking
you can't
movie
argue
came
with
out
it.
at a time where I was a fucking teenager. I was into martial arts. It fucking opened my mind philosophically. Fucking
Mhm.
Schindler's List didn't do that for me.
That's fair.
Okay, so it is entirely like just you're not saying that globally all movies should be judged against other movies. You're just like for you pick your top list of what you enjoy in a movie based on all the other movies that you've seen.
Sure.
Okay.
You're
And you
comparing
don't-
it
you don't-
against
and
your
you don't-
movie-going experience.
You don't quantify them into any sort of categories. You don't put comedies in one section.
No, if somebody asked me like, "What's your favorite comedy?" It's not going to be The Matrix.
I kind of do.
Right?
I kind of do the same thing that Andy does because like my favorite show list is not like my favorite comedy, my favorite action.
Exactly.
Yeah, because like I get torn between Deadwood and The Office. Those are my two favorite shows.
But they're completely different things.
Very different.
Right, but the original tangent that we went on is that you don't think that the Marvel movies should be judged against just the other Marvel movies.
Exactly.
They should be judged against all movies.
Correct.
So couldn't we at least narrow that down to they could be compared to all action movies or all superhero
Sure.
movies?
Yeah.
And to me, they're another fucking action movie that capitalized on known figures.
Okay,
Right?
but,
Like it's nothing more than that to me.
so, but if you can already compartmentalize down to action movies or compartmentalize down to superhero movies, couldn't you look at the Avengers movies, compartmentalize against the other Avengers movies, and make a judgment based
If I
on
had
those?
seen them all, yeah.
Okay, so that's the point. I think if you take the Avengers movies and compare them to all the Avengers movies, Infinity War is probably in the top 3.
Sure. All right.
Okay.
That's fair.
How many Avengers movies are there?
20, 70, 50, 50.
Yeah, something like that.
All right.
No, there's at least over, 20?
Yeah, so like especially when you have that much within a specific like franchise, then it totally makes sense to compare one installment of that franchise against the installments of the other franchises. But generally speaking,
But I would like to point out that when I was comparing the Marvel movies against the other Marvel movies, you said you have to compare them to all movies.
if you're talking about like the quality of the movie, it's just nothing more than like an action movie.
But I wasn't even making a comparison. I wasn't saying like let's stack the Avengers movies against all movies. You were the one that made the argument that it has to be compared to all movies. It's the only way to properly judge that movie is to stack it up against everything else.
Are you comparing it to all of the movies that you have watched? Are you just talking
That's all
about
I
the
can do.
quality of your experience, like the amount of enjoyment it gave you versus every other movie you've watched?
I'm just talking about like, it's one thing to say like, oh, the Avengers are like this great fucking movie, but then when you put it in the context of everything else, it's like it's just like another.
Well, yeah,
fucking
I have-
But
action movie.
nobody will disagree with you on that aspect.
Yeah.
Like everyone can look at the Avengers. Well, I can't say everyone.
Sure.
Everyone here can look at the Avengers movies and realize they're not remarkable feats of cinematography.
Right.
There's tons of movies that are substantially, personally to each one of us, better than the Avengers movies.
Yeah.
But you derailed the conversation by telling me it's unfair
We
to
were
compare
just a
them
little
just
confused.
against the Avengers movies.
Sure. Yeah.
Personally, again, I've
I like
talked
to
about this
derail
before.
conversations. What can I say?
And I'm here to keep
It
us
worked.
back on the fucking
It
subject.
I imbibe a single given piece of media almost always just once. So the
Yeah.
context in which I consume a book, a movie, TV show plays way more heavily than it should into my opinion of that thing, which we talked about. The original Hobbit movie, I think, is a great example of, I had just got done running a session of D&D, and I go see the Hobbit movie, and I'm with my brother. We were talking about our childhood beforehand. I don't remember how it got brought up, but I watched the Hobbit, and it hit my nostalgia chord so hard. It reminded me so much of playing D&D as a young teenager and early teen that I loved it. Like, it took me for this like 6-year-old roller coaster ride is what I felt like. I guess I should say like a 6-year-old on a roller coaster. The movie itself, completely unrelated to my opinion. It's not the best, right, to put it gently. But I absolutely loved it. I'll probably never see it again. But that was a great experience for me, and it ranks up there with my schlocky action comedy fun movies really, really high, just from that one experience.
Yeah, I can't blame you for that.
Yeah.
I do think that you do deny yourself some experience and stuff by not re-consuming media. I know for Andy and I, the big one is like every multiple repeat watching we've had of Deadwood has like just increased.
Yeah, you get all the
It gets better every
callbacks
time.
and whatnot.
There are some things where, like, when you know the story ahead of time,
Mm-hmm.
it helps to pick up on the subtleties that are told throughout the story.
Yeah,
It's
so
the
it leaves
best
your brain
way to
free
learn
to
a
watch
story.
for other stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have this angry little mite in my head that says, why are you consuming something you've already seen when there's infinitely more things out there to consume?
Because you enjoyed it.
Because you didn't consume it fully.
But I consumed it enough. That's the
Yeah,
argument
I mean,
my little mite makes,
Sure,
right?
yeah.
You know, now there's movies like Fight Club.
Sure.
Great to rewatch at least a
Mhm.
second time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Not that I don't reconsume some things, but it's just, I'd say a good 90 to 95% of
Yeah,
quote unquote stories I've ever taken
Sure.
in, never again.
See, my argument is the fact that yes, there is a plethora of media to consume out there, but so much of it is bad that it's not necessarily a waste of time to go back and revisit something you know is quality.
I also have mite number 2 that tells me there's lots of good things out there I know I haven't seen yet,
Sure.
or
Yeah.
read, or
Very true.
watched. You know, maybe I'm never going to get around to watching Casablanca.
Well, let me ask:
but
do
it's
you
an
do you
option.
put more weight on just consuming new media versus the quality of that media that you're consuming? Is that a higher reward for you? Is just new experience versus quality experience?
I don't know if I could look at it from the new angle so much as I get like there's no drive to watch old stuff. So I kind of
Well, I'm
I
not
guess
saying
in
old stuff.
reverse-
It'd be like more like discerning about the content that you consume, because you've already put a limiter on your content consumption by saying I don't rewatch old stuff.
Okay.
So you could put another filter on there that says that I only try to find quality stuff to consume, or you just consume
In a
everything
best-case
that's new as
scenario.
best as possible to try to find quality, like a diamond in the rough kind of situation.
It depends. When it comes to video games, I will play anything you put in front of me. Majority of them are shit, right? I just want new novel games all the time. I mean, the number of games I've played an hour of and then tossed hundreds, if not thousands. When it comes to like movies, are a little different. You watch them differently. It's a one-time thing. Books are usually just based off recommendations or something that catches my eye.
So you do have extra filters for like books and like movie media, because you
Yeah.
want at least a little bit of buffer so you're not wasting as much time with.
Television's a great
trash.
example of where this causes a problem for me, because anytime I go to sit down to watch this show someone's recommend, like I finally got around to watching most of Love, Death, and Robots just because I had a random opportunity late at night. I had Netflix there, I had nothing else to do. I was like, oh yeah, I should check that out. But I almost watch almost no TV. Like
Yeah.
I can't count. I don't even know last time I've sat down and watched a full season of anything. Because anytime I go to watch a TV show, I think I could be reading a book or watching a movie or playing a video game, which is weird. But it's just, there's so many good shows I've missed just because the idea of sitting down to watch them, it's like I could be doing something more. I guess it's an engagement thing. I can't really engage well with TV. Movies, you know, because they're compact and I get to watch usually really good cinematography. It's an experience that I can focus in on. Games are so much more interactable that I can get sucked into them.
See, for me, it's the opposite.
Really?
It 100%. Yeah. So I don't want to spend the time investing in a movie.
Okay.
So I watch series, but that's because I multitask. I've got,
Oh,
a
see, I
multi-monitor
can't-
setup,
I can't
right?
do that.
Yeah. So
Oh.
I can play Risk of Rain for 200 minutes, get like a super long session in while watching 30 Rock or something else going on another monitor. So that's why I stick to serialized shows and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know if this is ADD or something, but like I can't even have music going on when I'm reading something I'm engaged in.
I don't like music on when I read.
I can't
Yeah.
either. Like, I have to do
Okay.
one thing at a time.
So
I
when you're
can't
talking about
do-
double tasking, like
I can't do
browsing
that
the
shit.
internet while you're listening to something or
So
playing
I
a
actually
game while you're...
find that I just need to be inundated with information at all times. That's kind of what it's turned into.
addicted to that short-term gain we've all kind of become addicted to.
Kind of, yeah.
I'd almost say it's just a different way that you like. Both of you described to me a situation where you need your brain to be engaged. You're just engaging it in a different way. Yours is like
Yeah.
a deluge of content. Yours is
Very
mental
focused.
and focused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the scary thing is like it's gotten like even more. I wouldn't call it a problem. I'd say it's become more
Borderline
noticeable.
concerning.
Not even concerning, because it's weird. I'll be playing World of Warcraft. I don't have to pay a lot of attention to play World of Warcraft.
Sure. Yeah.
It's an MMO. It's I've been playing this thing for 15 years. It's second nature. There's been plenty of times where I will be watching like a serial TV show or whatever. I'll have that on the second monitor, and I won't feel like I'm getting content. So I'll open up a YouTube video without even thinking about it.
Okay.
And then I realize like I am listening to a YouTube video, watching a Hulu video, and playing World of Warcraft right now. Like I'm literally like listening to an Instructable. I know what's going on in my
two
TV
sources
show.
of audio going, or you have the TV show muted?
No, it's all coming in.
Oh, good lord!
It's all coming in.
Wow.
I have.
You were jacked into cyberspace.
Well, it's really weird. In that environment, I can soak it all in.
That's how
Okay.
omnipotence starts.
In that environment, I can soak it all in, right? Like I can take that. If it's two people talking over each other, nah, man, my brain doesn't parse that.
You know, I think about this. I actually had a similar moment last couple of weeks when I had a chance to play it. I was listening to podcasts, and I was sitting down, nothing to do. I'd paused the podcast to eat, and I loaded up Astroneer. I started playing it. I just kind of absentmindly put my podcast back on. The next thing I know, I had listened to like 3 podcasts, and I was playing Astroneer the whole time.
Yeah.
And I think in that scenario, because Astroneer has next to no HUD, everything is extremely obvious in what you're doing. It's like Lego blocks. It's Minecraft in space, right?
Right.
And they've done such a good job of making everything flow. I got my ability to think, okay, to make this thing, I need 2 iron. I got to go fill that hydrazine flask. But it was just like surface level thinking while I was listening to this Radiolab podcast.
Yeah.
And I was able to do both at once. And I got done. I was like, whoa.
I think you'd have to be tested on your retention of the
Exactly.
podcast
That's what I was gonna
knowledge.
say, because like I'll find myself where I'll like have something on in the background, like a radio or a podcast or something while I'm playing games, and I will on some level, either consciously or subconsciously, like block out one of them, and usually it's the one that's like the more passive thing, right?
Yeah.
And so I'll finish listening to a podcast and I'll be like, what the fuck did I just listen to?
See,
all it
I'm-
was noise in the background, and that was it.
Have you tried to listen to a podcast or a book while playing auto chess?
I listen to podcasts while I'm playing auto chess.
I've
right?
tried to do that, and
I don't pay attention.
Really?
like I sit down with the intention of like I got to focus on the podcast because I can do the auto chess stuff kind of second nature, and then like 10 minutes in, I've only focused on the auto chess, and the background speaking has
It's just-
disappeared.
Yeah, I won't retain anything.
See, I was talking to you guys about that Joe Rogan podcast about the guy that was finding like potentially ancient civilizations or remnants of ancient civilizations in the Amazon that had
Yes.
really advanced technology.
Right. Yeah.
Gary
I absorbed that
Spivey.
all.
Gary Spivey.
No, but it's not him.
Where was I
I
going with this?
derailed you.
Oh,
Sorry.
you did. I retained all that when I was playing like a game.
Right.
Like I don't listen to just a podcast. I can't do that. I actually find that I start to daydream and stuff like that, and then I don't retain. So I need another source of engagement.
What I will do is so first of
Graham
all,
Hancock.
Yes, Graham Hancock.
that was a good one.
It was really
whenever he's
good, yeah.
Whenever he's talking to him, first of all, if I'm like listening to a podcast, if I don't have headphones on, I won't remember the shit.
Really?
Like you said, I have to be actively listening to it. Otherwise, it just becomes background noise.
I do feel a little bit more engaged. when I have
That being
headphones
said,
on.
if I'm like doing chores in the kitchen, or like if I'm like doing dishes or something like that, I can throw a podcast on and like listen to it, and that's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, I was kind of curious what significance the headphones had, unless it was to block out ambient noise.
I
but-
think it's just to concentrate and not allow my mind to wander so much, because it's like such a direct pipe into
I don't
my
think
senses.
I've ever not used headphones for a podcast in my life.
Well, see, I have Bluetooth in my car, so when I drive to
Right.
work,
Yeah.
listen
I don't
to
have a car,
podcast.
so there you go.
When I clean the house, sometimes I'll throw one on.
I just wear headphones when I do that.
I almost
Well,
always
sometimes I
throw a
do as
podcast on my phone as I'm falling asleep.
The sleep timers on podcast apps and stuff is phenomenal.
I don't use a sleep timer. I just eventually I fall asleep and
That's terrible. How do you know where you left off?
Scrub
don't.
bar.
Yeah, I just scrub.
You got to try to think what the last thing you remember.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That ain't happening.
See, I use Google Play
Mhm.
for my no. I use what is this app called? Because I actually really enjoy it. It's called Smart Audiobook, and this is a feature that a lot of them have. But
Yeah.
I just set a 15-minute sleep timer, and it just fades out quietly.
Sure.
It's awesome. And mine, you can shake it to reset the timer.
Yeah, well, yeah. You just the
you
gyro
just shake
gets
your
reset.
fucking phone and it resets the timer. To
The
when
nice
you
thing
reset
is
it.
that the next time you start up your audiobook, it'll usually backtrack slightly to where that 15-minute,
Mhm.
maybe not
Like
necessarily
5
the
minutes
full
before.
5 minutes
Yeah.
before. So
Well, it can take
and-
me 2 hours
that
to fall
shit's
asleep.
money.
Yeah,
So-
Really? I don't really.
Oh,
know.
yeah. You
can adjust
I
the
can
sleep.
never
You gotta
really
drink
tell.
more.
Yeah, totally. That's the solution. Yeah.
Yeah. Now back on the subject of that we started this rabbit hole was how we consume media,
Mhm.
multitasking from Andy, the
Yeah.
focus from you.
Mhm.
I feel like it's been a change for me as well in the more recent years to where sitting down on my own to either binge watch a show or sit down and watch a full length movie, I can't do anymore.
I haven't been able to do that in a
It's
while.
Solo
not
by yourself.
Yeah, solo by myself because it's not
Mhm.
engaging enough. My brain's not active enough. I will
Yeah.
always find myself wanting to have more interactivity with what I'm doing. So I'll go and play games either on my phone or even just sitting down and consuming media online is more engaging because I'm seeking out information. I got to click through pages. I got to scroll for stuff, look for stuff that
Yeah.
piques my interest. Is more engaging than sitting and watching a show. In lieu of that, that's why I like going to the movie theater. Is because the movie theater, it puts you in an environment where the only thing that you can do and are there to
Is
do
look straight forward.
is
at
to,
the video.
to absorb the content. And for me, that's like my body can then shift into a different state
Mhm.
that allows me to just like, okay, consume this media.
I have to keep myself out of daydream mode, man. I got to be actively remembering not to to focus on a movie.
And something to keep in mind too, when we're talking about all this is, human beings may or may not be designed to be ingesting this much media all the time,
Well,
right? Like we allow ourselves
kind
to
of a weird statement, but I get what you're saying.
right. We're like
I'd say absolutely we're not designed to because it didn't
it's an overload
exist.
of like senses,
Well, it's
and then
new.
and then eventually like your mind will just start shutting shit off, right?
Unless we argue about why we were created in the first place. But
Well, it's kind of a well-known point. I'm pretty sure I can draw a line in the sand to say that humans are not good at what we consider to be multitasking.
That's my point.
It's-
And I
a
think
lot of people think-
consider themselves better multitaskers than they really are because of the ability to throw on background noise or whatever and interpret that as ingestion of
It
media.
depends on how you're defining multitasking.
when you're not necessarily
If you're taking
retaining
a
it or
phone call at
ingesting.
work and making a note on your pad while you're texting somebody and making a note on your computer, what you're actually doing is a series of small
broken
things.
up tasks.
Broken up. It may feel like parallel in your head,
Sure.
but from what I remember, these studies are saying that if you really look at actually being able to do multiple things at once, and you can't really split your attention.
And there
like
are
that.
many studies that do show that multitasking is bullshit. If you focus on one thing, you're going to do better.
Yeah.
It's just a
I
fact.
think if you consider what are we good at biologically, physiologically, noticing movement, seeing patterns, right? Those kinds of things. I think that sculpted I think it probably had a lot of hand in the way that we made media in the first place. And we're so visual. That's why there's so many more people of TV shows and movies and shows and reading things, right?
I think advertising drives media
Well, yeah, nowadays.
Yeah,
more than anything.
that's the reason they make daytime shows.
Yeah.
It's to play ads.
Yeah.
I was going to say something and I forgot.
a stupid article on Reddit is showing John before. It's on the subject of smartphone usage and whatnot. It says, so I'm going to read this. Increasing smartphone usage temporarily diminishes the ability to interpret the deeper meaning of information, suggests a new study. But in that same block, it continues, which also unexpectedly found that smartphone use was positively associated with some cognitive abilities, such as the ability to judge credibility of information. That does not seem immediately counter to what the initial
What
statement
that
was.
sounds to me is some dude found a science study, grabbed a bunch of sentences from it, and jammed them together. And
I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
Sounds
yeah.
like it's copy paste from BuzzFeed.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's like an article that somebody might read half of and to back up their argument, and then the other half of people would read the second part to back up theirs.
Yeah.
And yet it's in the
No
same
primary
sentence.
source.
Yeah.
Or at least the primary source isn't quoted well.
Going into actually reading about what the article is about, there's a lot more clarity about the actual study, which actually is kind of neat. It talks about how by week 4, all differences in your ability to interpret and analyze information seem to go back to normal anyways.
As opposed to like using or not using a smartphone? Is that what they were testing?
Yes, yeah,
Week
usage
4 of-
hours, like
okay.
minimal usage versus long repeat constant usage.
It's not something super important, but you were talking about having to stay focused while you're doing something. It reminded me that I kind of have 2 modes when it comes to imbibing media. I have the cursory aware of it and I'm watching it and I'm not necessarily thinking about something else.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have the batten down the hatches, everybody shut the fuck up, mental tunnel vision. I'm enjoying the shit out of this. I don't want any distractions. And if like somebody starts to say something, I will literally immediately pause what I'm doing, let them finish hiccuping, like sometimes even that
And
much.
that is when
and
you're
then
really
rewind.
paying attention,
And-
in my opinion.
Yeah, and I do that a lot with games, but when it comes to especially movies, I like movies are the big one. It's like I don't want any outside distractions when I'm into it. Like when I watched the newest the Blade Runner sequel, I was gone. Like I was no longer in my body. I was just
You wanna
wasn't
suspend
even
belief,
blinking.
right?
Yeah.
And
I
just-
feel like that's the indicator of a quality movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
Is when
yeah.
you are less distracted from stuff that normally in a worse quality film that you weren't as engaged with would distract you with.
It's the immersion.
Yeah, like if a movie is just quality and I'm thoroughly enjoying myself, I'm sucked into it, and there's so much less that can pull me out of that tunnel vision, which is an indicator for good stuff.
Yeah.
With tasty bits.
So
So are you guys going to buy Belle Delphine's bathwater?
Oh my
No.
god.
No.
Gamer girder water.
Yeah, you guys going to buy Gamer Girl bathwater?
No.
I mean, I don't want to kink shame anybody, but
Sure.
it's a bit fringy.
Yeah.
Cringy,
yeah.
fringy. There should be a
Cringy
cringe fringe.
So I'm pretty sure. So I'm pretty sure it's like $30 per like ounce or whatever.
Canister.
Yeah, of bath
Cartridge.
is that
water.
the going rate? Still cheaper than ink, man.
So, dude, you
Vial.
know the real winner
Vial
here is
Filter.
Belle
Ethan.
Delphine.
No, well, yes, that is the clear winner.
It's just a clear winner
She
here.
sold out. We don't know how many units there were for sale, but she
Infinite.
sold out. Right.
Her fucking landlord probably pays for the water. It's
Yeah,
all profit.
right.
How often
Yeah.
do we know how often she bathes?
I
These days, all
don't-
day, she's selling out.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, dude. If people were willing to buy my bath water for like $30 an ounce, I would always be in the bath.
You know what the beautiful
It'd be a
part about
stew
that is?
eventually.
You know what the beautiful part about that is? You post one video, and the rest of that fucking water can come from the tap.
Yeah, it's true.
The question has to come down to like some sort of personal. I don't want to say morals because it doesn't seem immoral to sell bath water, but
No.
pride, I guess.
I don't think it is either because she knows the audience that she's trying to go for.
Well, my
And
question is she not making enough money from selling
well,
and doing
everybody
stuff
wants
that's
more money.
So,
I think the problem with it is the question of publicity, because how many people are selling like used panties or something along the, we're getting into this territory of
I suppose is it any really
It's
worse
very
than selling
similar.
used
It's the same
panties?
thing.
it just there's not a big name
Essentially.
person popping up on YouTube, right? So
I guess I'm confused by the fact that like just what it is that you do with water that has been bathed in.
So
inject it into your
we'll go
toes.
ahead.
Drink it, wash your hair with it, fucking
Let's put this whole thing in perspective, right?
brew
She
beer
has
with it.
4,522 patrons.
Is that a
on
lot or a
Patreon.
little?
That
Which
is
means-
a, that is
which
just
means
a
they
lot
do
of people in
minimum-
general.
they
It
do a
looks
minimum
like
sub,
well,
right?
yeah, so that would be a minimum.
That's a minimum of what, $1 a month?
looks-
Depends. You
No,
set that
I think
yourself,
I think
so.
it's higher.
Bronze $1 or
Hold on. Don't
It's
scroll.
right there.
There
if
you go.
you're,
Yeah,
if,
bronze is
hold
on
on.
up
This
here
says
right there.
if
Yeah.
you're into weird elf kitty girls who try too hard, then you have come to the right place.
That's right, my boy.
Less than 3.
Who the
So-
fuck is into that shit?
So there's the
Many
$1 tier.
At
Then
least
there's
4,000.
the
At least
$5
4,000
tier.
people. Yeah.
Well, think so. If 4,522 people are doing $1 per month, that's $4,522 a month
Yeah, for the minimum bronze tier level.
for the minimum bronze tier level. But you know that's not it because let's look at what
I have a
what you
question.
get here. You're helping support her content and helping her take photos. So it's literally you are getting nothing out of this, right?
Yeah, you're literally just
You're there to help.
a fan.
You're a buddy.
Eek, thank you so much.
Access to
Very
the
loud in my
Patreon
ears.
feed and updates, cute and sometimes weird selfies, behind the scenes of her photo shoots. So you're not getting the photo shoots.
You don't
Just
get
getting the
photos.
behind the scenes.
You get the behind the scenes of the photo shoots. Because
Are you
if
sure?
we
Are
Are you
look,
sure you don't
keep
get the
going to
photo
gold.
shirts in bronze tier?
Yeah.
well, it's not looking like. I mean, when we scroll further down, everything as far as photos is $25 per
Oh
month.
yeah, it does say $25 a month to see those.
All of these are $25 per
Well,
month.
go up to the gold tier, which is the $25 a month. Let's see what
So
it
at the
says.
gold tier, access to lewd HD photo sets, access to all her Ahiago. I don't know what that is.
It's probably an anime
I don't
thing.
want to have to explain.
Probably, yeah. She's
Because
probably iffing.
it seems to me because she's listing a specific type of photo sets that you might be very well correct that it's you only get photo set pictures that
Yeah.
aren't behind the scenes photos.
This one does say HD, so maybe you get her low res photo set earlier. I don't know.
Oh, it's possible.
Or you get a collage, right? Could be.
Something like
Could
that.
be. Okay. Then we move on to what does this tier cost? $50. You get her Snapchat.
Personal
You
Snapchat.
get her Snapchat.
If you go back to the bronze tier, the first tier,
Yeah.
and if you click on it, do you get any more information about what is included in that tier?
I
don't
can
think
join
so.
now for $1. I don't know.
Are you afraid to click that button?
Don't do it.
I'll
Don't,
click that button.
dude.
Uh,
Don't fucking.
He's not actually.
It's,
gonna
I'm
do
not
it.
buying.
Oh,
it.
Okay, good.
so
Yeah.
you
So
have to-
no, there is no additional information. That is your information.
That's
I have a
unfortunate.
question.
I have many.
That doesn't seem like a lot of patrons. Like I thought this chick was really well known, like a YouTube
But they're
star.
paying $25 a pop.
And-
No, she's just a girl on Instagram.
So it just happened to be that this one Instagram personality.
Well,
go to
viral
her
with her
Instagram.
bathwater,
what,
right?
what kind of follower count are we looking at?
Oh,
on
yeah,
Instagram?
that's a
'Cause you
better-
gotta remember Patreon's like a whole nother
Yeah.
level
Yeah.
of support
Okay.
for people.
right. Yeah. There's a lot of clones here.
Not surprising.
Yeah.
If you can't be them,
The only thing
Pretend
is,
to be them.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's private because I tried to bring this up.
It's because you
earlier.
gotta be
I
a
thought follower
Patreon.
count was always public though.
No, they got rid of that.
Really?
I
That's-
don't.
yeah,
haven't
that's a
used
new
Twitter
thing.
In a while.
So you'll notice here you can see likes. You don't see followers right away, and I don't think you see them on people's pages
Well,
anymore.
you're not on this person's account. You had a
Yes.
photo. So
11.4K
so-
followers.
Yeah, but that's not for Belle Delphine.
Oh,
that's somebody else.
I was like, that is low actually for Instagram
Yeah.
influencers, I guess.
Just which one? She has 97,000 posts. So 164,000.
That's probably her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So she's not like super small time.
So
but-
no, she's not super small time, but she's gotten big on Instagram, but she originally comes from TikTok. You'd probably
Oh.
recognize the
Oh my
video
God.
from like a TikTok compilation or something like that.
yeah, I got nieces and nephews.
She
that use
does-
TikTok.
You know the
It's Ahiago.
anime what?
Are you talking about the Ahiago stuff?
I don't know what that is.
That's where they cross their eyes, stick their tongue out like
Yes.
they're doing a massive orgasm.
That is what
phase.
she's known for.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is what she's known for.
Oh yeah,
I
I've
am
seen that. I've
unfamiliar
seen that
with
on
this.
car wraps.
Everybody's
and stuff.
seen
yeah.
that.
I
Yeah,
have
so that's
not.
what
That's
she's most.
my face is screwed up because I'm coming so hard.
It's an O face. It's a female anime O face.
Yeah.
So that's
Maybe not
liter-
necessarily just female, but
Just
it's an O face.
Google it, Annie.
That's literally what it is.
Yes.
If some girl came like that while we were fucking,
You would be impressed with yourself beyond belief. You'd
That's
like, I
not
fucked you
true,
retarded.
man.
That's what you would think.
That's too fucking weird,
No,
dude.
you'd be into it. Don't
I would not, dude.
yeah.
I
If
know
that's
what
what
I
happened
shaming
when a
here.
girl
It's
came,
all good.
You would just be like, "Holy shit, what did I just do? And how do I do it again?"
No, I know what I am into,
Uh,
and that
I know
ain't
what
it.
you're into, Andrew.
you do you? You're into
I don't like cross-eyed girls, man.
Parisian
well,
lumberjacks.
they're not permanently cross-eyed.
If they're chicks, yeah, sure.
It's fair that you. I mean, if we're gonna be honest, you've honestly never seen an O face from a woman before. So I'm just I tease it.
rude.
I keyed.
So
But that's like not even an O face, right? Like that's just like a fucking
This-
retarded face.
The thing is she is replicating
Like an anime thing
anime.
it's an
or
anime
hentai thing. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know,
So
manga.
she's
All of it.
she's
All of it.
replicating an art style that is stylized in a sense. I mean, even the quote unquote realistic anime hentai is still going to be stretched, and the ratios are going to be weird for the faces. And
Can we get
whatnot.
this off the screen?
Yeah.
That honestly,
I-
that looks like the second after somebody gets hit in the head with a 2x4.
It looks like a cartoon representation. Of
that's a
getting
really
2x4
good
to the
orgasm if
balls.
that's your if that if that's
yeah.
if that's to be measured. Yeah.
At the end of the day, like we said, she's selling a sex-related thing for fetish.
She's what I appreciate about her though is if you follow the story a little bit, is she's really just doing it to have fun. Like, I mean, she is profiting on her own fun.
I think it's genius.
The
yeah.
bathwater thing itself was just goofing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was originally supposed to be a goof. It happened because the guys on the H3H3 podcast, I don't know if you guys watch that.
I have not.
Yeah,
It's Ethan Klein.
I
He
watched
does-
a lot of Klein.
Yeah, he did the Vape Nation stuff. That's probably what he's best known for, other than his podcast. They talked about selling jars of her farts and how they'd sell like that next day or something like that. Maybe within a couple days, she was selling the bathwater. Right.
Yeah.
So she's like, oh, yeah,
Smart.
absolutely. I could totally capitalize on these thirsty gamer boys. Right. And that's who she advertises
Thirsty
to.
gamer
She literally
boys.
calls
Love
her
it.
fan base thirsty gamer boys. So,
If you're thirsty,
Like,
here's
that's
some
so
bathwater.
insulting.
Oh,
but
wow.
it's true.
I know
Nobody's-
it's true.
Yeah.
No, I absolutely know it's true.
She's not. She's not getting nude.
Yeah.
It's only implied.
Right? Like that's the fucking. That's
Is
the
all of it only
biggest
implied? Or is that
fucking
what you get in
friend
those
zone.
lewd
No,
photos?
she did. Yeah,
On how
no, the
many
lewd
followers
photos
does
are
she
implied.
have?
Okay.
164,000.
Those
I think it was.
poor
Software stuff.
motherfuckers. And not even those poor motherfuckers. They bring it on themselves.
They bring it on themselves.
Right, like, that's the
anybody
thing.
that
Yeah,
anybody
nobody's
that's
forcing them to do
distraught.
that way.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's the sick. That's the weirdest fucking thing
They
about
all
it.
elect to do that. That's
That-
fine.
yeah.
Don't kink shame people.
Yeah.
I'm not kink shaming anybody.
Dude, I would almost buy it just to say.
I'm just
to have
judging
it.
people.
There's also the
harshly.
novelty factor.
There's
of
the
owning
novelty
one of the
factor because this is
irony
huge,
factor,
right?
yeah,
This
yeah,
is
yeah.
huge. Like 30 years from now, if I can point to my moldy jar of her old
Andy,
bathwater
I
and
don't
be
want
like,
you
know,
to buy hers. I want to buy some of yours so I can put it on my
I want
wall.
some of Ricky Berkwick's. Shout out to Cripwater.
Oh yeah, the
Oh,
Crip
yeah,
Water
yeah.
video.
Yeah.
That's the only bathwater I want.
That was
in my
freaking
life.
That
hilarious.
was great. Yeah,
Look
that
up
was great.
Crip Water on YouTube.
It's
Yeah, it's
Ricky
fantastic.
Berwick, I think.
Ricky Berwick.
Berwick,
Yeah, I believe
yeah.
so.
That dude's my new hero.
Yeah, it was
It
fantastic.
should be a lot of people's heroes.
We should see if
He's
he sells
embraced
stuff.
his
Like
situation.
Yeah, maybe
we
he's
can
got
put
a
it in
merch
our
store.
eventual studio for our podcast
Dude,
studio.
that
We
fucking
have some
video was
Crip
so
Water on
funny.
the shelf.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Dude.
My initial research on trying to figure out if like 100,000 or so Instagram followers is significant. The top like models that I could find
Mhm.
have millions.
Yeah.
All the way up to top like Kendall Jenner, who's got like
Oh.
102
Yeah.
million.
All right, let's work our way up to 102 million.
Well, I mean, I think at 100,000, you're an influencer.
Is that all it takes? You think is just getting into?
Do you get like a
100,000?
badge in the mail?
Well, here's no.
Professional,
you get
beautiful
offers.
hobo.
No, you get offers for $4,000 to pimp somebody's product on your
Oh,
Instagram.
gotcha.
Yeah,
That's how
Yeah.
you
hashtag yeah.
You know you're an influencer when companies start sending you stuff just to.
Gotcha.
You will get stuff
Wear
sent to
it.
you just
I'm
so
now
you
a
can
pretty
wear it.
beggar.
Yeah, they have the Kylie Jenner and the Kardashians and stuff. They use these weight loss lollipop
Oh
supplements,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that was kind of a big controversy. But yeah, it's just videos of them being like, "I love these things," and like it's like 4 seconds, man.
Yeah.
They're raking in the
I mean,
dough from those promotions.
Whatever
You know,
floats
you
your
got
boat,
to make
but-
money. Some people need to
Sure.
support their stuff. I
And
know-
advertising is just how everybody makes money now.
Yeah.
I know a cosplayer that supports a particular type of gummy candies.
Sure.
I don't know what her deal is or if she actually enjoys or does not enjoy them, but at the end of the day, you
Yeah.
know, that's advertising.
But yeah, these influencers, they get paid for product placement. It's as simple as that. Have this in the background of one of your shots. Just
Yeah.
simply the exposure and
It's just
your
advertisement. Yeah.
yeah, I mean your ultra mega fans are going to say, "Oh, this person really likes fucking, sour Skittles."
Yeah.
I do
DoorDash.
like sour
we talked
Skittles.
about DoorDash with the huge, whoever it was, PewDiePie or
I don't
Oh,
think it's
here's a
PewDiePie,
fun one.
but-
Someone shared their DoorDash
security
code.
expert John over here asked me earlier today that threw me off. An app like DoorDash,
okay.
how many people do you think actively work on the app for DoorDash?
like 11.
Yeah, like less than a
What,
dozen.
you mean the entire company?
half a dozen at most.
Half a dozen at most.
Well, I need
11.
relatively. How many programmers? How many people work at the company?
No, like people that are physically working on the app. So app designers, programmers.
Like back end development
Oh.
shit.
Less than 100.
Okay, so John, you've been to the DoorDash headquarters, right? You went to the
it's like 2
DoorDash
offices.
headquarters or something, or you knew the rough numbers of like how many people were.
Oh, NDA.
shit. Okay, so we won't
That's a
talk
good
about
point.
that.
So the answer is X.
The answer is X. We won't discuss that. Oh, that's true. I mean, they don't know your name. They don't. Like,
Was it
Yeah.
a surprisingly low or a surprisingly high number?
It's a lot.
Oh,
So
a lot.
I
of
just asked
programmers.
them the question about how many people they think
Okay.
are working on the DoorDash app, and they all said between like 6 and 11 to below
Less
sub
than
100. And no, it's thousands.
Oh,
Yeah. I thought
that's surprising.
I figured it would be skeleton crew.
Hundreds. Okay,
Hundreds,
hundreds of people.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that was my first initial response too. I was like 5.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like how many people does it actually take
Right.
to
I
manage?
wouldn't have known if my old roommate hadn't been a programmer and I'd gone to places with.
But even your number was low for how many
Yeah,
it actually is. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now, the longer I thought about it too, I also ran to the subject to where I know I was around when the Blackstone was working on the Downpour app.
Okay.
And I didn't think about the concept too, is like when you're designing those apps, they have to run on a multitude of devices.
Yeah.
And there might be a lot of work involved in just making sure that like every device handles
Scaling
it the
for
same
hundreds
way.
of resolutions. Yeah.
Like they had to
100%.
come in and ask us, like they went through the building asking people trying to find a Microsoft phone
Yeah.
Oh my.
to test the app on because they're like nobody owns
yeah.
a Microsoft phone. They found one.
If
Yeah.
they hadn't partnered with just like Nokia, Windows Phone would have done
Is that
better.
what they did? Was just, they
Yeah.
just partnered with Nokia?
Yeah, it was Nokia. Nokia did all the Windows phones. I'm sure there are a couple other, like probably Sony, but Sony barely makes phones anymore for a reason, right?
Sure.
Yeah, they just didn't sell.
If they'd gone and made, just retro phone candy bar, Microsoft's Nokia candy bar or something, they might have had
Well,
some
they did
traction.
remake that.
Well, I know, but I'm saying if Microsoft actually.
Well,
like,
yeah, if they'd implement, yeah.
If
for
we're trying to
sure.
give them a better finish in the market race, they had
Yeah.
to get some sort of niche thing like indestructible cell phones.
Right.
I think the best example of a program that can run on almost literally anything
Snake.
is Doom.
Yeah.
I've seen Doom run on an ATM. I've seen it run on a graphing calculator, and I've seen it run on an LED strip display on a printer. It was like 20 pixels tall and 1,000 pixels wide, but they were running Doom on it.
So I can run Doom on my keyboard.
Yeah, your LED keyboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating
Yeah.
how just well honed that program is.
I don't think it works. Like, I mean,
Yeah, like how do you play it?
right. Yeah.
But you can at least get it running.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true. It's pretty much on everything.
Yeah.
Have you guys been introduced to the whole Skyrim meme, where like you're watching a
one?
thing, doing a thing, and it fades? To
Oh,
black
yeah, fades
and
to
Yeah,
black.
yeah,
and-
yeah,
yeah.
and yeah, and
That
it
one's
shows the
that
Elder
one's
Scroll-
legit got me a few times.
Yeah,
You're
for
like,
sure.
didn't
What is
see it
going
coming.
on?
Yeah.
It's almost like a more recent Rickroll almost. Like,
Yeah.
Adam's been telling me about getting gnomed. Have you? have
Oh
you
my
been
god,
gnomed?
yes! Dude, that's some of my favorite shit. Yeah.
I've not been gnomed.
Okay. I'll
Well-
pull up a video later and show you because we're running low on time. But
Yeah.
yeah,
So if we talk
Topic
about one
for
more
another
thing,
day.
I want to go kind of back to what we were talking about orgasm wise.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So
Oh, we're back to orgasms?
yeah, we're back to yeah. I'm
Fucking
glad you
count
perked
me in.
right up.
All right.
All right. So
I do like those things.
coitus with a new lady, right?
Yeah.
Before you know her preference on where the load's going.
Oh, right.
Yeah. What happens if you don't establish that beforehand? Like, where am I going to come?
I'd pick a place and ask if it's cool.
let's
Okay.
take a step back. If I, in most scenarios, am having sex with a lady as
Yeah.
opposed to a dude, I'm probably going to be wearing a condom.
Yeah, you're going to bag it. Sure.
So then it's
That's a moot point.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose.
No,
I
not
suppose.
always.
Well, not always.
Not
but,
always.
I mean, at
Yeah,
least
I've-
like if it's not established and you don't want to ask, you have a safe place to.
I'll be like,
to
I
finish
mean,
up.
if she's gonna scream out for me that she desperately needs me to rip that condom off and jizz on her lamp, like I guess I'll do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. See, I was thinking about the scenario in my head. The scenario was like, I tell her like I'm about to come, and I hear, she's like she forcefully ejects and like turns around, come on my feet, come on. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, I mean,
That'd be surprising.
it is a little surprising.
You
it's
might
jarring.
just get there just from the the passion
Just the fear.
involved.
Yeah, the scared
Yeah.
load. Yeah, that's
no,
that's a
there's
good
always
one.
those awkward moments,
Spook
especially with
it's a
a
ghost load.
new relationship.
Oh, I love how awkward sex is at first.
Oh,
Man.
I love how
Casper
funny
Creamy.
it is.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
make
it's the
jokes.
best. It's the best.
Yeah.
Bunch of squishy.
What is it
noises
you used
and-
to tell your old ex-girlfriend? Would you like to make the coitus?
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
was
yeah.
it? Yeah.
Would you like to have coitus?
Would you like to have
Coitus.
Would you like to have coitus?
man.
Yeah, it was
That's
always
a
going to be
Big
something.
Lebowski thing too, isn't it?
I don't remember.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's,
It is a word.
No,
that
I know,
much.
but that's
No,
that's what.
line.
What's her name? The
Maud?
redhead.
Mag.
Maud.
She is Maud, but the actress.
Oh, that's Julianne Moore.
yes,
Okay.
yes, and she was the one.
See,
Are you uncomfortable with the word coitus?
some of my favorite ways to broach the subject, especially with somebody that I'm dating, they understand my humor and stuff like that, is going to be like, would you like some intercourse? How about some intercourse right now? How does that sound? Get real
you
close
like-
and
Yeah.
when things are
Probably.
when we've gone to like medium petting, right?
Yeah.
It's like, is it time for intercourse? Should we have some of that intercourse? That's just some of my favorite ways
So
to.
it
I know
works
it's
for
like
you,
the
huh?
least sexy thing ever, but
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah, but
That's
you're a
part of the
goofy guy,
fun.
and that's how
if
it
you
works
get
for you.
that's
Yeah,
right. If
it
you get me,
works.
then you understand.
I
Yeah.
think the number one line for me is, "Should we go into the bedroom?"
Yeah.
That's the thing.
But that's the
like-
sexy one. That your bond. Well, he'd just take her, but
But like that's like the are we fucking? Without asking, are we fucking?
yeah.
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 You trying to fuck?
All right. You want to go to the bedroom?
You trying to fuck?
If she says yes, she's trying to fuck. She says
There you go.
no, she's not trying to fuck.
If I
There,
say
there could be a lot of ambiguity in those situations. So
For
it's
sure.
nice to have something that's a little more clear. Not
Yeah.
I'm not saying yours isn't clear. I'm
Yeah.
saying that is a good,
Yeah,
clear
it is.
indicator
Yeah.
Yeah.
without having to straight
I
up
would
ask.
certainly
Yeah.
hope so.
Because
Yeah.
ideally, I think the situation would just be
Like you're making out on the couch or something, and then you're like, "You want to go where we can lay down and get naked?"
well, I mean, what's stopping you from
that's
doing
how
that?
I broach it.
This is a really good subject to expound upon in a further episode because there's some interesting quandaries nowadays, especially with the younger generations and consent. And there's some odd takes on
Yeah.
like where this line
What is
should be
consent?
drawn.
Yeah.
And that would be my concern because, like, my tact would typically I'm just going to keep pushing towards an end goal
Yep.
until
Yeah.
I'm stopped.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where ambiguity can come into play because, like,
The number one
stopping might not necessarily be a no to
The
other
thing,
intercourse.
yeah,
Just
Here's
something
here's
that's
an
changed.
Sometimes it's
old
hard to get.
an old secret that I learned years and years ago.
Listen
I don't-
close.
Listen close.
Audience.
I don't remember where I fucking heard this, but it was such beautiful advice. It was like, if I'm making out with a girl, at some point, I'm gonna say the words, "This is my hand. This is your hand. If my hand ends up anywhere you don't want it to be, push it away, and that's okay." And that
Yeah.
makes a girl feel comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
and it tells her that she has control over the situation without having to be explicit about it, right? And so, like, if I start, moving my hand down south and she pushes me, all right, I know, like,
Mhm.
that's off limits. We're just fucking sticking with this shit, right? And she knows right out the gate, like,
So you're saying that you communicate that those words are spoken prior to engaging in the situation?
it's like in the middle, like in
You
the
find some sultry
yeah,
words
like
that
at some
imply as
at
much,
some
right?
point, it's
Yeah.
like, hey, these are my hands, these are yours. If my hands go anywhere you don't want them to, use yours.
I don't think that's bad. I just
Yeah.
I think
And I
that
think it's
that's
kinda sexy,
implied
too.
anyways for me.
But when you fucking explicitly state it like that, it leaves no room for that ambiguity. And
Yeah,
you don't have to
that's
fucking
fair.
use the words like, hey, you want to go bone, right?
No, but I would say for me, it's almost like it's passing the ball. Like if I'm moving things forward into various bases and I'm pushed away or resisted in some way, I will stop, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
But then I'm passing the ball to them to either elaborate, communicate to me what it is that they're looking for or have a problem with. Otherwise, I'm going to maintain that baseline continually until given a green light to do things otherwise.
Something to consider, all of us being males, is I've heard it's surprisingly common from a woman's perspective to be in this muddy state in the mind
Yep.
where they might not be entirely okay with moving farther,
But they don't want to say no.
but they don't want to say no.
Right. And so that's why you
And-
give them the
Yeah.
permission out the gate to go. You can say no at any fucking time, and that's
And
all right.
It's something that it's going to depend on the person you're with. I haven't ever been with
I have
anyone personally
never-
that's required that much, but I like to give them the option. So it's something to be aware of, that like some things you might just take for granted. It's like, we've made it to stage C of this old dance. Let's take it to D, and then if nothing happens, I'll take it E and I'll keep going. But
You don't go past D. There's 4 bases.
You never got into R?
A, B, C,
Dude.
D.
You haven't lived until you've gotten to
Is that
R.
rectum?
F stands
near
for
killed
fuck.
All right. Yeah, that would be a good subject. We talk about as a podcast. Listen to about it. It's kind of neat.
We can
but
talk about fucking for an hour
yeah.
and a half easy.
I feel like we're going
Sure.
past time though. No, you said
When-
we had 20 minutes left.
I didn't. He did.
I didn't say shit.
Yes, you did.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah, you said we had 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
well,
we find a good
We
way
were
to
talking
end.
about an hour
That's
and a
all.
half,
Yeah.
right?
Good way to end.
Yeah.
Well, Area 51. Where do
We
you
gotta
come?
go.
We-
Hey, yo,
we-
do we
Area
got
51, where to come?
Nope. If you
Yo.
want, nope. If you want to bring it back to the podcast, I need some dead air.
Educate your mind. Don't let the brain cells die. Come on, it's balcony time.